Good morning, you guys, and welcome to today's video. Today we have another custom order, but with a little bit of a twist. So for today's custom order, she did request a blue Bella bucket hat, but with a little star in the front, so that's what we're going to be working on today. If you guys are new here and or you've never seen my Bella bucket hat pattern before, this is what it looks like. This one is a little bit looser than how it usually looks just because I've had this one for a long time. I've worn it a little bit more, but this is how it usually looks. It is usually made with two colors. As you can see, this one is made with a light pink and a dark pink, but the girl specifically requested that I do it in all blue. I am pretty excited for this one though, because if you look at this blue, as you can tell, it's not just one solid color. It's like kind of a variegated color, and I think it'll look really pretty with my bucket hat. I've never really made a bucket hat that is all one color. The only time I have done so was when I've made it all black, and obviously that is going to look a lot different than this with the variegated color. I do want to preface this video by saying that this is not a tutorial video. I am currently working on a Bella bucket hat YouTube tutorial for my channel that will be released probably next week or the week after. I really do love this bucket hat though, because I feel like it is more of a stiffer bucket hat, so it kind of keeps its shape more. I probably had this one for 6 months to a year, and it is still keeping up really good shape. But as I said, we are going to be working on the blue bucket hat today with a white star in the middle. So for the white star, we are going to be using this leftover yarn that I have. This is the KC Essential Cotton yarn in the color cream, and these blue ones are going to be the Hobby Lobby I Love This Cotton in the color teal. So without further ado, let's get into it. So as we previously talked about, I really like to have my bucket hats be on the stiffer side just so that they hold their shape for a lot longer. And how I do that is I double up my yarn, which is why we have two of these. And this project is worked top down, which means that we have to start with the magic circle. But before we get into that, I really do want to show you guys how to do a proper center pull, at least the way it works for me. I know there are a lot of people that hate center pulls simply because of how tough it can be, and I feel like I found the trick, so let me show you. So taking this skein of yarn, what we're going to do is we're going to find the outside pull. So usually it's tucked in to the middle of our skein, so what we're going to do is look for it. I see it right there. And all I'm going to do is pull it out of the center like this. And now from the opposite side, so not this side, we're going to flip it over to this side. We're going to reach in and try to kind of carefully do it so I can find the actual center of the skein. We're going to reach in and grab for our middle. Usually it can be a little bit on the thicker side. Sometimes we get a really good one, it's on the thinner side. Oh. And if you can see, it's still kind of stuck in there. So I'm just going to keep pulling until it comes out. There it is. So now we have our center pull, and that's how I do it all the time. It's never created a problem for me, and I'll do it again just to prove it. So for the second skein, I see my outside pull right here. Just going to flick it out like that, and then not from this side, but the opposite side. This skein is a little bit messed up, so I hope that doesn't affect our center pull, but we're going to try to go for it again. I know a lot of people don't like to do center pulls just because it's hit or miss, but I feel like this works wonders every time. Just trying to find like a good pull. Here we go. I think this is going to be on the thicker side. Yeah. A little bit on the chunkier side, but we found it. So I do have to untangle this one just a bit, but I really do like center pulls because it means that I can just leave my yarn on the table and I don't have to worry about it like tumbling around while I work or me just having to yank it while I work, so that's why I like it. So now we're just going to take the two strands of our yarn together like this, and we're going to create a magic circle. And I like to try to make sure that my yarn doesn't like flip on itself while I do the magic circle, because I feel like when it does, it makes it a lot harder to close. So we're just going to try to keep it very flat as we do this and create our magic circle. I'm really excited for this yarn though, because this yarn is multiple colors of blue, and I feel like it's just going to look so pretty and oceany. But here is what our magic circle is looking like. As you see, I kind of make it a little bit on the larger side just to make it easier for me to work with. And now I'm just going to work 8 half double crochets in it and slip stitch it together to kind of create the top of the hat. And quick disclaimer, because I know I'm going to say it for the rest of the video, but we are working half double crochets for the entire project. And honestly, I don't even look at the pattern anymore when I create this hat. I feel like I've made it so much for myself or for other people that I just kind of have it completely down. But seriously, please tell me your guys' reasonings for not liking a center pull if you don't like a center pull. I've just always loved a center pull, and I can't wrap my head around the reason people wouldn't. So I would just love to hear y'all's answers. Okay, so I've just closed up my magic circle, and this is probably one of the only times in which I created a magic circle and it actually worked out very well the first time. Usually I have to redo it 2 or 3 times, at least as of lately. So here is what we're looking like, and as you can see, that blue is so pretty and I have like a really good feeling about it. But now we're gonna move on to the second row. First row, second row, I don't know if you count the magic circle as the first row, but for row 2, let's say, we're gonna create an increase into every stitch, which means instead of 8 stitches, we're gonna have 16. In this video, I'm pretty much just gonna be giving you guys the entire pattern, which I'm okay with. I mean, next week I am gonna be dropping a YouTube tutorial for it anyway, so it's not a big deal, but I just wanna say that I'm not gonna be giving like up close me showing how to do it. That's gonna be next week. But if you guys can kind of follow along to what I'm saying and my progress with each row, then you guys should be fine. So I just finished round 2, and this is what it looks like after I slip stitched at the end of the round. I know it's a little hard to see because my finger is kind of holding it up, but this is what it looks like. But I'm loving this blue so much. Like I said, I usually make my bucket hat with 2 colors mixed together. This is just one, but because the colors kind of have like this funkiness to it already, you don't necessarily need to do 2 colors, and I just would have never thought to put these 2 together. I love making custom orders because it makes me do things that other people want and what other people come up with in their mind, and it just makes me so happy because these are ideas that I never would have thought to do, and because of that I'm making something so pretty that someone else thought of. And I don't know, it just makes it really cool, and it gives me new ideas and gives me new knowledge that I can move forward in new patterns that I make. But anyways, that was a lot of rambling, so let's move on to round 3. So basically round 3 through 8, I believe, is literally just going to be increased rows. So for this row, rather than increasing into every stitch, we're going to increase into every other stitch. And then the third row, instead of increasing into every other stitch, we're going to increase into every third stitch. And then moving on, that's how we're going to keep going. But I'll keep you guys updated. But what I would say is that if you were thinking of making this hat, I would suggest not doing one solid color. I would suggest using yarn like this or doing just 2 separate colors. So I did just finish round 3 though, and this is what we're looking like. And as I said, this row is made up of half double crochet increases into every other stitch. Now for the next row and every row onward, we're just going to decrease how many increases we do. So since we did it in every other stitch here, we're going to do it in every third stitch for the next row. And here's what a finished round 4 looks like. As you can see, we are getting a little bit bigger, but the project is staying very flat. And we're just going to keep going until we finish round 8, which is where we're going to have an increase into every 7th stitch. Okay guys, I am back, and it is very obviously a new day. I was not able to finish this project yesterday, so we're going to continue on now. But this is what we're looking like so far. We did finish our increase rows, and now it's time to move on to start making the sides of the hat. So as we talked about yesterday, we are ending on the 8th row, which is going to be the row where we have an increase into every 7th. If you do have a bit of a larger head, I would suggest doing one more increase row. So that would be creating a 9th row with an increase into every 8th stitch. But really quickly, I do want to show you a better up close of what we're looking like. As you can see, it is still pretty flat from the increases that we did, and it is very blue. I'm honestly a little upset at the fact that I did not buy more of this color. I kind of had a feeling when I was at Hobby Lobby that I would really like how this color works out, but I didn't buy more for myself. So next time I go to Hobby Lobby, I'm definitely going to be buying more of this color for me to make my own bucket hat. But now moving on to create the sides of the hat. I don't know if you guys saw, but for the sides of the hat on the pink hat, as you can see, I did create like a little line here that goes across. And I really like doing that because when I originally created this hat, I didn't make that line. And I feel like because I didn't do that, it kind of made the hat not look as good. I don't know how to explain it exactly. I feel like creating that little line right there kind of separates out the top of the hat from the sides of the hat, and it just makes it look a lot more professional and neat. So that's what we're going to do here today as well. I will say that we're not going to do it straight off the increased rows because the increased rows is still going to be pretty high on my head. So if I made the line up here, it kind of would look a little strange and a little too high. So before we create that line, what we are going to do is we're just going to do a regular row of half double crochets all the way across. And if you've never made bucket hats before and you are unsure about how to get the shape of a bucket hat, the simplest answer is that you create increased rows to kind of create the flat part for the bucket hat, kind of increase it out to fit your head, and then you do regular rows with no increases to kind of work it down for the sides of the hat. What we're doing here is for row 9, we are just doing a regular row of half doubles. If you do decide to do that extra row of increases, this is going to be your 10th row, or round I mean. And here's what we're looking like after that first row of the half double crochets. As you can see, it is already making a huge difference with making the hat curve in on itself. But now is the time when we're going to start making that line across for the separation of the top of the hat and the bottom of the hat. To do that, we are still going to be working regular half double crochets, but this time they're just going to be back loop only. And that's how we kind of create the front loop of our previous stitches to make that line. So I've just done a few here so far, and you can already see that line forming. I've just finished that back loop only row, and this is what it's looking like. As you can see, we just have a blue line all the way around, and what I love about this line, whether I'm doing it in 2 different solid colors or this variegated yarn, is that the line is very obvious with how the colors change through the line. So some of it is white, some of it's darker blue, and I think it's just so pretty that way. I kind of like that it kind of mixes it up. But now since we're done with that line, we're just going to start working on the sides of the hat like normal, which is going to be the regular half double crochet rows. So for my pattern, I like to do 8 rows of regular half double crochets, but the biggest thing is that I like it to hit just at about the top or the middle of my eyebrows. So I would kind of just make sure to go off of that, make sure that if you do the 8 rows, kind of do a fitting and see how you like the way it feels. And here's what the hat is looking like after we do the 8 regular half double crochet rows. I accidentally did 1 more row than I was supposed to, so if you can see, it's kind of like, you can see the stitches are a little stretched out here, that's why. But it looks so cool. It kind of looks like tie-dyed a little bit. But now we're going to move on to creating the brim, so the flared out part. And obviously to create the flared out part, that means we're going to go back to doing increases. So for the increase row, what we're going to do is we're going to place an increase in every 4th stitch, and that's going to start getting our brim going. So here's what our hat is looking like after that first increase row, and you honestly can't even tell it all. But now we're going to move on to working our next row, which is going to be how we did the exact same thing for the top of the hat here, creating this line. So I like to also create a line at the brim of the hat to separate out the brim of the hat from the side of the hat. And just like we did for the line at the top of the hat, we did do it 1 row down just because I feel like it looks better being a little bit lower. So now what we're going to do is we're going to work a regular row of back loop only half doubles rather than working another row of increases. I do feel that if we just did rows of increases for the brim of the hat rather than kind of alternating between regular rows and increased rows, it's kind of just going to make it kind of ruffly or more flowy, and I kind of really like this brim to be more flat out. But so far this is what our line is looking like. And here's what the hat is looking like after that row. As you can see, we do have that line going all the way around, and I do feel like even though it is a little hard to tell, you can see that the hat is flaring out a little bit. But what we're going to do now is we're going to do another increased row and then a regular half double crochet row. And for this row, we are going to be working an increase into every 5th stitch rather than every 4th stitch. But we are so close to done with this hat, and I am just super excited to see how it turns out. We do still have to make the star. I'm pretty sure the star is made with a magic circle as well. I've never made one before, but we're going to try our best. Okay, you guys, so here is what the hat is looking like. We do have to do 1 more row, which is going to be basically just regular slip stitches, just to kind of keep the brim in place. I feel like if I leave it like this, it's going to be a little floppy, but if I do slip stitches, it kind of stiffens it up and makes sure that it stays outward like it's supposed to. But other than that, we do just have to create the star and add it to the hat. So let's do that now. Okay, you guys, so here is what the hat is looking like now. I did finish the slip stitch row. I do still have to weave in my ends for the end and then the beginning where we did the magic ring. But now we are going to be working on the star, and we're going to be attaching that. And like I said earlier, for the star, we are going to be using this yarn right here. This is the KC Essential Cotton in the color Cream. And for the star, we are not going to be doubling up our yarn, which means that we also have to size down our hook. So for the star, we're going to be using a 3.5mm crochet hook. I am watching a YouTube tutorial for this, so this tutorial is by Erica Arndt, I believe it is. She's making a star ornament. We're just going to cut out the ornament part of the star, but I will link her video in case you guys want to follow it as well. So the first thing that she's doing is a chain 4 and then slip stitching it together to kind of create like a makeshift magic circle, but I really do like to make a magic circle, so we're just going to do that. And here is what our magic circle is looking like. And now we are just making 15 double crochets into the magic circle. Here is what our magic circle is looking like, and she did also say to do a chain 5, so we did that as well. Now it seems like she wants us to do a pattern of stitches into our chain 5, so it's going to be a single crochet, half double, double, and a triple crochet. And the reason for that is so that the stitches slowly move outward and upward, and that kind of creates the point of the star. And here's what that point is looking like. She did say to slip stitch into the 3rd stitch away on the magic circle, so that's what we did. And now it seems like we're just repeating the same process over and over again. So it's going to be chain 5, single, half double, double, triple, slip stitch until we reach back to this side. So I'm going to do that and then show you guys what the whole star looks like. So here's what the finished star looks like. I do want to give you guys a little bit of an up close. It is a tiny bit wonky, but I think it's just because of the weirdness of the stitches. But when I do stitch into the hat, I'm going to make sure that I lay it really flat and neat so that it looks perfect on the hat. I did want to show you guys that I did leave this super long tail at the end of the star. It feels like killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Basically, I need to weave in the tail so it doesn't show, but I also need yarn so I can weave the star onto the hat. So we're going to kind of be able to do both in the same time. So using my little darning needle, I'm going to stitch this on, and then I'm going to show you guys what it looks like in the morning. I feel like because it's so dark in here, the light's just not great, and I want to give you guys a really good view. Okay, you guys, welcome back. It is the next morning. I did finish up the hat. I sewed in the star, and then I weaved in all my ends. So let me show you what it looks like. So here is what the finished hat looks like. I do want to give you guys more of an up close so you can see the star. But this is super cute. It is giving beach vibe. I kind of wish that I could put stars just all around the entire hat, so it just goes all the way. But this custom order is now finished. We are gonna lip roll it and kind of do some cleaning on it just to make sure it is nice and fresh for her. But other than that, we are completely finished, and it is so cute. I've already decided that this weekend I am gonna be running over to Hobby Lobby to get myself some of this blue yarn as well. But thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I am going to be linking the pattern and the hat in the description in case you guys want to check any of those out. And like I said, next week I will be posting a full YouTube tutorial on how to make the hat as well. But again, I appreciate you guys sticking around, and I will see you in the next one.